Hello all you awesome humans and welcome back to my channel. We're here with a movie review at number 2 for Wheel of Movies. So if you guys are new to my channel, you will see my wheel here. Basically, every week to 10 days or 2 weeks, depending on how long it takes me to review the 6 movies that I spin for. Every time I spin for 3 movies for my Wheel of Disney Plus, 3 movies for my Wheel of Movies, and then I'll review those movies, and all of the movies are picked by you guys. So if there are movies that you want me to review, make sure that you put them in the comments below and what platform they are on. There's Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and Netflix. And remember, Disney Plus I spin by itself, and then Amazon Prime, Hulu, and Netflix are all together. So here we are going to be reviewing The Ritual, which is on Netflix as of today, and I will put the date that this is going up, if it's still on Netflix, down below, so you guys know as of what date that this was still on Netflix. I believe that this movie was actually made for Netflix. The Ritual was actually based on a book, I'm not sure, and the book was actually written by someone named Adam Neville. I've never read the book, but after doing some research on the movie after watching it, I learned that it was actually based on a book, and I probably won't read the book. I enjoyed the movie well enough, but I probably won't read the book. But let's just get right into it. So The Ritual, it was directed by David Bruckner, and we follow a group of guys, I think 5 guys, I believe there's 5 of them. And it's a group of college friends that reunite to a trip or a hike through the forest after they lose a really good friend of theirs. And I'm not going to tell you how they lose their friend. I will just tell you this movie starts off with a WTF. What were you thinking? So many things are going to go through your head when you first watch this movie. I mean, it starts off, boom, right at the beginning. You are going to be like, oh my gosh, what's going on in this movie? And basically, they're in this woods and they find a cabin, and then there's this evil presence within this cabin that is making them like go through their worst fears or their worst nightmares. That's what I feel like. That's what they're doing. It starts stalking them too. So that is the premise of the movie. So let's just get right into some things I liked. Some of the actors in it. Now, I wasn't familiar with a ton of these actors. Some of the actors you have was Rafe Spall, Arshur Ali. Sorry, words are hard. Arshur Ali, and Robert James Collier. And I can't remember the others right off the top of my head. But like I said, I'm not really familiar with a lot of these. You can check IMDb if you're interested. Usually I like to tell you the actor and then tell you something that I've watched them in previously. But I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't familiar with all these guys. This movie was actually came out in 2017, and it is a murder horror mystery thriller. Not murder, well, yeah, murder mystery thriller. So like I mentioned, what I really loved about this movie was it started off and it had my attention right off the get-go. I buddy watched this with a friend of mine, Mr. Franklin FM McGinnis. So we sat there, we were texting each other while we were watching it, and we are like, what was he thinking? Oh my gosh. And I'll get into spoilers at the end of this, and I want to talk about this. So basically, we're following these 5 guys that are kind of mourning their friend, and they all have super different personalities. If I'm being completely honest, the main guy in this, the one that we're following, I don't know whether or not we're supposed to feel like this, but I didn't like him as the main character. And this is not a spoiler, you know, this is a horror mystery thriller or whatever, and I'm not going to tell you who it is, but one of the people that I thought could have a leading role in this movie died first. So like I was like, what the heck? Well, he died first after their friend died, so technically second, but died first from this evil thing that I can't tell you what it is. So that was really surprising. You know, for effect, that really got me. The main character was super annoying. I didn't understand his motivations throughout the entire movie. I felt like he was kind of cowardice. But like I said, they played that well, if that was their intention. I loved the eerie feeling of not knowing what the heck was going on or what was after them. It was definitely more suspenseful, and it was gory, kind of. overall, I really, really enjoyed it. There's really not much to tell that I without going into detail about it. And now that I'm thinking about it, like I watched it a couple days ago and I'm already forgetting details about it. It's not the most memorable of movies, except the first part. Like I said, I cannot get the first part out of my head. But other than that, I feel like it's not one of the most memorable of movies. So yeah, that's kind of like what I liked and what I disliked. I don't really have much to say about this movie. I liked it. I liked it better than some of the other things that I've watched. I would probably watch it again after I hadn't seen it for a while. I feel like horror is a genre that you have to give a lot of leeway sometimes. There is not a ton of horror that a whole group of people would agree that it's amazing. It's not going to be your Nightmare on Elm Street 3, or which was my favorite, or your It, or your Friday the 13th. It's not going to fall in a, I don't ever think it's going to have like a cult following kind of thing. The Conjuring, the Train to Busan, those are both really amazing horror films. This one, because I'm comparing it to some of my favorite ones, definitely fell a little short, but I did like it. I did like the concept. Like I said, I did like the fact that it made me really think. It made my friend and I sit there and think, "Oh my gosh, what would our nightmare fear? What would they play on? What would our fears be? What would torment us?" And that that aspect of it just scares the crap out of me. Like, oh my gosh, it could be this, it could be this, it could be dying alone, it could be losing my family, it could be guilt from something that I don't even remember. Like, it could be a million things that could plague your heart and your mind and just drive you crazy. And that's what this does. It plays on your guilt and your fears, and it basically drives you crazy, and then it kills you. And it was surprising, and it was, like I said, it was super fun. I do recommend it if you like horror mystery thriller movies. I would definitely probably rate it a good 6.5 or 7 out of 10, and that's solid. That's not a bad rating, but it definitely, like I said, isn't up there with some of my favorites. And yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I'm glad that I got to watch it. I don't remember who recommended it. I didn't write it down. But if you recommended this, thank you. I did enjoy watching it. It definitely beat some of the other things that I've already reviewed that I didn't care for so much. But yeah, I'm gonna get into some of the spoilers. So if you guys don't want to listen to this, then I'm really gonna focus on one main spoiler of this. It's basically what drove the movie. It was kind of like the plot device that drove the movie and drove like the main guy's guilt and fear. So that's what I'm going to dive into. So thank you so much for watching. If you're leaving now, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and comment down below a movie on any of those platforms that you'd like me to review, because I'm having a lot of fun with this. So, spoilers. Let's talk about the very beginning of this movie. Seriously, picture yourself in a convenience store with one of your best friends, and you have this guy that seems cracked out on something that basically wants you to give him a ring, and your friend is refusing to give him a ring. And this guy has, like I said, he's going crazy. What would you do? I was talking to my friend, and I basically said, if it were me, I would say, here, take my necklace, and here my friend will give you this ring. I'm so sorry that he's hesitating. Here, take it and leave. The first thing that you should do, basically give the robbers, the people, give them whatever they want. It is just stuff. Well, his friend, first off, didn't give it to him. Not only that, did he hesitated, and then his friend, the main character guy, was like, I'm not gonna help you out. I'm gonna sit here and hold this bottle and just cower like a big old cowardy baby. And so the guy hesitates, doesn't give him his ring, and gets bashed in the face. So first mistake, second mistake, and then you see him, he's got a huge gash on his face, right? And then he lifts up his head. Like, what does he think? Play dead. If you get hit once, you're that dumb to get hit once. Play dead. WTF. Why are you going to lift your head up when they're still there? Play dead. How'd your, put your arms out? Whatever. Give him the effing ring. Give him the effing ring. Oh, so frustrating. That whole scene was frustrating. It was heart wrenching. and then his friend got bashed in the head again because he lifted up his head, and obviously he died. Well, then he goes on this group, this like group that he's mourning this friend, and you can tell that all of his other friends really blame him, despite not saying it at first. They get to a point to where obviously things escalate, and you can tell all of them blame him for not stepping up and not doing anything. He walked out without a scratch, and their other friend died, and you can just see like it's like, yes, it's a horror mystery thriller, but also the angst and the agony that these characters are feeling and mourning, and they're hating their friend but missing their other friend, and I just liked the dynamic of that, and I liked it playing out within the story, like the story within a story. As for this thing that played on fears and guilt and everything, what an amazing idea. And I think that other, like, I feel like it could be like a vampire thing. Yes, we have a vampire movie, but 10 other people can make vampire movies, and they're all going to be different. And if you love vampires, you're going to watch them. I love the idea of this thing playing on your fear and playing on, guilt for something. I think that is an amazing premise, especially for a horror movie. It does remind me a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street. And more because he is their nightmare, and I'm sure part of the aspect of that was he was playing on some of their fears. And I think that is a great, like, it's a great plot point for them to write a story or create a story based on that. So yeah, that is basically what I thought of the Ritual. Like I said, like, I loved the evil entity in it. I think it's a witch. And I loved, like, the storyline. Like I said, I didn't love the cast. I didn't love the cast. I wasn't a fan of the main character, the guy who played him. And like I said, the guy that was the strongest one of all died first. What the heck? The strongest one, the one that I felt could have been the lead for this, died first. And that's not what you typically see in horror movies. In horror movies, you typically see the attractive, strong one fight to the end, and the one that you're rooting for fight to the end. And no, we didn't see that in this movie. But yeah, that is The Ritual. Check it out on Netflix. And yeah, you guys, I'm Katt Dee. If you liked this review, please give it a big thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. Thanks so much.